Welcome to John Martin Talks, where we battle ignorance and apathy daily. The growing ignorance of just how special this experiment we call the United States of America is, and the apathy that we can't or won't do anything and everything to save her. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we got a great show for you today. Good news for you if you're waiting for the weekend. It's finally here, and yes, I am going fishing immediately after this show. The first weekend of American red snapper and gag grouper season in the state of Florida, and I am totally psyched. I hope to be able to show you some huge fish pictures next week, so check that out. Anyway, we got a great show for you today. Journalist attacked by Antifa in Portland, and in this case, it could say attacked again, because we're going to talk about none other than the great Andy Ngo. We've talked about him before. If you don't know who I'm talking about, stay tuned. You will. It's terrible. It's shocking. But it's the state that we live in, so to speak. The state of the nation, I guess. And it's good news. San Clemente in California becomes Second Amendment sanctuary city. And we'll tell you all about that. But before we go any further, I have to always talk about our sponsors. In this case, Big Daddy Unlimited, otherwise known as BDU, your Second Amendment headquarters. Now, to access our sponsors, look above the video. No matter when or where you're watching it, you will see links to our various sponsors and other important information. But in this case, click on Big Daddy Unlimited. Follow the directions. You'll not only be helping the show, but you can help yourself to factory direct pricing on guns, ammunition, and over 100,000 related items, including survival gear, tactical gear, protective wear, even Second Amendment swags and things like knives and axes and everything you can imagine related to self-defense. You'll find it at Big Daddy Unlimited. Check them out. And I call them your Second Amendment headquarters because that's what they are. They literally defend your Second Amendment rights on a daily basis, and we're so pleased to be sponsored by them. PatriotThreads.org, another group we're partnered with. The Apparel with a Purpose. Look above, as I said, to see the link to that. But they are a total fulfillment center, which essentially means if you have a charity event and you want to produce a high-quality, made-in-America, patriotic-themed shirt to commemorate that event and have the proceeds of it go to the charity of your choice, go to PatriotThreads.org. They can help you with that. As the old salty dog here says, from stem to stern. Remember the initials of our show, JMT, John Martin Talks, for 20% off. Recoil TV, we're partnered up with Recoil TV. They have a YouTube channel, Recoil TV. Of course, we have our own YouTube channel. We're on there every day live. Right now, Monday through Friday from as close to 8 o'clock Eastern as we can, and I'll update you on that in just a moment. But Recoil TV produces high-quality, high production videos about the latest guns, ammunition, anything to do with Second Amendment type stuff. They demonstrate it, they show it, and we have a channel within the channel, which means we're not live on there, but our show is archived on Recoil TV on a daily basis. Now, I want to mention something, and we'll post stuff about this. We'll make sure you know about it, but we are planning, I kind of told you about this a couple of weeks ago, we are planning to change the showtime probably starting next week. One of the things I've thrown out is maybe noon, that kind of thing. I'm not sure yet. So if you have a particular time you'd like to see us live, because you can always watch us after the fact, and that will continue. And we'll still be on. We're not changing where we're broadcasting. We're going to increase where we're broadcasting, but that's another story. But we're not going to change. So wherever you're watching John Martin Talks right now, you will still be able to get it there. But we will be changing the show time, and it has to do with production and all of that type of stuff. So I will let you know as soon as possible when that will be. All right, let's get into the meat and potatoes of the show. This is a Washington Examiner story. Journalist Andy Ngo, it's spelled N-G-O, but it's Andy Ngo, says masked Antifa mob attacked him in Portland again. Because like I said, we talked about the first time he got attacked, and we'll get into that as well. He says, baying for my blood, they attacked him again. Now, this is a picture of Andy Ngo. He is a reporter. I believe he's independent. He may actually have some affiliations with some other. I know he started out as independent, but he has been covering Antifa around the country, but especially out in Portland. And this is literally true pictures there of him being beaten. Journalist Andy No, excuse me, let me get this. Click this up. Live TV, sometimes there's little glitches. Journalist Andy No released a statement after leaving a hospital in Portland saying he was attacked by a crowd of Antifa members while reporting on their activities. Now, I'm gonna play a video that is probably a little over a year old. This is Andy No in broad daylight, because one thing about Antifa, they don't mind, even though they're dressed in black, they don't mind being out there in the middle of the day. And they attacked Andy No simply for doing his job, brutally attacked him, fractured his skull, and put him in the hospital in this attack. You'll see him hit what they call, he's being milkshaked, but don't misunderstand that term. Milkshake, they make it look like a milkshake, but it's really a type of concrete that they hit him with. But check this out, and then we'll come back and talk about it. Again, this is not the most recent attack. This is the first attack. Check it out.
Yo!
That's good enough. I should have warned you about the language, but basically, if I tell you it's Antifa or Black Lives Matter, you can just assume there's some pretty foul language. They never say good morning, howdy, how are you? They just go F you and upside your head, man. So anytime you see, you think about it, if you got to be dressed in black with shields and mask on, you know, how legitimate, how peaceful could you possibly be? But that was over a year ago. Andy No was attacked, and you notice it's just in broad daylight. They have no shame. They're not trying to hide it. These progressives are wide open. This is the armed wing of the Democratic Party. I'm just stating it. You may not like it, but it's the truth. Sometimes the truth hurts. And truth is what Andy No is all about. He talks about it here. But he wrote, talking about Andy, on Twitter Wednesday, accompanied by photos of his injuries. This is what he wrote. No journalist in America should ever face violence for doing his or her job. Amen, Andy. No one should have to face that. But we're living in progressive America, progresso world now. Now, contrary to what this gentleman says in this video, progresso world is upon us. And I warned you about this leading up to the election, that we'd be living not only in bizarro world, but progresso world. And a lot of you aren't going to like it. Even if you hate Donald Trump, you're not going to like living in progresso world. But, you know, when you have Democratic leaders that say this, check this video out.
That's happening in Portland right now?
That's a myth that's being spread only in Washington, D.C.
About Antifa in Portland?
Yes.
Sir, there's videos everywhere online. There's fires and riots. They're throwing fireworks at federal officers. DHS is there. Look online. It gets crazy.
Yeah,
Mr.
look
Nadler.
online. That thing's with knobs and tubes. That's none other than Jerry Nadler, and that's been almost a year ago as well, certainly 9 months or so, when he was confronted by that on-the-street reporter about what was happening with Antifa in Portland. Keep in mind, they had taken over entire city blocks at that time, even way before what happened in Seattle. They took over a federal office building in Portland, Oregon, was following agents of ISIS children to their schools. Yes, that is Antifa. And Jerry Nadler, who is still the chair of, I believe, the House Judiciary Committee, says that Antifa is a myth. It doesn't exist. Well, I guess when you get your skull fractured, you get beat to an inch of your life, you kind of start becoming a believer, you know. But this is what Mr. No said. He said about this latest attack. He said, I was chased, attacked, and beaten by a masked mob. See, they're so ashamed of what they do, and they don't want their grandma to know what they're doing, even though they're probably living in their parents' basements. He said they were chased by a masked mob baying for my blood, like dogs, I guess. Had I not been able to shelter, he was able to get into the lobby of a hotel. He said, had I not been able to shelter, wounded and bleeding inside a hotel while they beat the doors and windows like animals, drooling for him. He said when he was confronted on the street by one of the people that he had, one of the leaders he'd interviewed before. They started saying that was Andy. And one of them, I guess he had a mask, his cell phone, because you're supposed to wear a mask out in Portland all the time. They pulled it down and said, that's Andy, and started chasing him down the street, beating hell out of him, man. But he said they were pounding on the doors and windows like animals. He says, Mr. Nose said, there's no doubt in my mind I would not be here today. In other words, he'd be dead. And there's really no doubt they want to do that there. And think about this, ladies and gentlemen. I played this before, but you know, if I say it, it bears repeating, or certainly bears replaying. This is a video from Portland about a month ago. This was in a neighborhood in Portland, and I want to emphasize this, in broad daylight, And what you're seeing here is a demonstration in the streets, in a neighborhood street. You're going to hear some very foul language. You're going to see a guy in, I believe it's a red pickup truck. He is a Marine, retired, who is now a handyman, and he was going between jobs when he was confronted by Antifa in an area he's trying to do business. He probably lives in the general area, and watch what happens to him. Check it out.
More people in that fucking truck! Then why are you trying to kill people? Get the fuck out of here, you fucking Nazi! Go! Go! Get the fuck out! Get the fuck out! Get the fuck out! Go! Leave! Move! Move! Get the fuck out of here! Hey, back the fuck up! Leave! Get out of here now! Get out now! Leave! Leave! Fucking leave! Leave! Don't you fucking dare! Get the weapon! Get the weapon! Get the weapon! Get him on the ground!
I'm a disabled Marine.
Get the fuck! I don't give a fuck who you are!
Wait. That's good enough. Now, if you're wondering why he stopped because you may, if you listen to that video again, you'll hear a banging sound. Somebody slapped his truck. And I did this story about a month ago. He stopped because he thought he'd actually struck someone and did not want to leave the scene of an accident. And of course, he's been accosted with people who have either like AK-47 or some type of rifles, semi-automatic weapons. He's got a small pistol, and he pulls it out to defend himself. They drag him down. They beat him. He had to be hospitalized. I think he ended up with a punctured lung and all kind of stuff. He tells them that he's a disabled Marine. The reason why we're all here free today is Marines and other members of the service. We're just coming off Memorial Day weekend, for God's sakes. But these people tell him we don't give a F who you are. They don't care. They don't care about him. If you don't care about a disabled Marine, then by God, you don't care about America, period. I don't want to hear it. I have conversations with people. I don't have a problem with people disagreeing with me. I try to win debates and all that. I've won most of them, a lot of them. Some of them I don't. But I don't mind honest debate. But when you tell me you don't give an F about a disabled Marine in broad daylight on an American street when he's going to work and you're just out there doing what? And there's no debate. I don't know what we could debate. If you can somehow tell me they're justified in what they did, I'll be honest with you, I don't know what we have to talk about. Because if it weren't for Marines, and I'm not justifying everything every individual Marine does, but if it weren't for Marines, let me tell you, this would be a vastly different land, and I don't think you'd like it. Progresso world that is upon us, it is not happening, it is on us. I'm telling you right now, if you want to live at peace, if you want to put politics aside, I get it. But if you want to live at peace and you want the right to your God-given birthright to life, liberty, and the pursuit, as I say, not the guarantee of happiness, if that's what you want, then you're not going to have it if Antifa has their way. I'm just telling you, because they're not about that. Tell me where I'm wrong. Chime in on the various social media sites and tell me where I'm wrong. All right, let's keep it moving. The journalist said, talking about Mr. No, he continues to cover Antifa. Now, this is after he received a fractured skull over a year ago. This is a brave young man. And he should be, in some ways, the poster child of liberals, right? Because this guy, he's American citizen, but he's South Korean ancestry. He's gay, and he's a reporter. He's openly gay, by the way. And I'm not knocking, I'm just simply saying he checks a lot of boxes for the left, but because he speaks the truth, because he's trying to bring truth into the light, anything goes. You don't hear any journalist, do you hear Don Lemon on CNN defending Andy No? Maybe so. I haven't seen it. I don't even see it that much on Fox News but I'm going to defend people and speak about the courage, because Andy No is a patriotic American who is trying to do his job. And I don't even know what his politics are. But we need more Andys, that's for sure. The journalist said he continues to cover Antifa despite threats and violence because he wants to record the tactics and true ideology. For that, he probably needs to die, right? And true ideology of an extremist clandestine movement that relies on deception and regards the truth as the greatest threat of all. Let me ask you this. Let's just assume, for the sake of conversation, that there was, the Proud Boys or some group that's supposedly Trump supporters, QAnon or whatever. I don't care. And they were wearing MAGA hats, and a reporter from, say, MSNBC came up there, and they beat him to an inch of his life and put him in the hospital. What do you think the media would be doing? They'd be calling for a January 6th Inquisition, right? A Spanish Inquisition on whoever did that. But because this person is exposing the truth about the progressive left, his life doesn't matter. Black lives might matter, but truth seekers like Andy No, who is a person of color, if you want to call it that, his life doesn't seem to matter a hoot, man. But progressives, they run from the truth, man. They run from the truth all the time. They act like they own the truth, but when they're challenged with the truth, they run from it. But if you will do what I tell you and take these progressives at their word. See, my only political goal right now is to stop the progressive takeover of this great country. Stop it, at least slow it down, because we're losing. I'm telling you right now, we are losing. The progressives are winning. They are winning. Even Donald Trump, Ronald Reagan, the Tea Party movement, which are all great things, were slowed down the progressive takeover. Donald Trump, as great as he is, and I was hoping he would get a second term, and he still might. He still might in the not too distant future. But even as great as Donald Trump was, he slowed down the progressive movement. Republicans, some of them are part of the progressive movement, for God's sakes. But my only goal is to stop the progressive takeover of this nation. So if you're with me on that, then I'm with you. But I'm going to judge you whether you're running for the outhouse, the White House, Park Avenue, Park Bench, appointed, whatever. I don't care. I'm going to judge you on whether you're helping me stop the progressive takeover of this country. And that includes reporters and movements and everything else. Andy No is trying to stop the progressive, at least expose what the progressive arm wing of the progressive party, which is the Democratic Party, Antifa. And for that, I applaud him. But I tell you all the time, one of my axioms here, if you will, at John Martin Talks is take these progressives at their word. All you got to do is listen to what they say, and they're not shy about it. They will tell you. I'm going to play a video that's probably even a couple of years old, but it is Antifa chanting something that I think if you haven't heard this, you need to hear it. And I'm telling you, I believe they believe every piece of this chant word for word. Check it out. No borders, no walls, no USA at all. No borders, no wall, no USA at all. That is exactly what is happening now that the progressives are in complete control of Washington, D.C. That is what's happening. Biden himself said that if he was elected, he would be the most progressive president in history. And he has proven to be pretty right so far. If you listen to his speech the so-called State of the Union speech. I guess they didn't really call it that, but joint session of Congress speech. And listen to what he was talking about. Look at the budget. We talked about it earlier in the week. The best way to look at our podcast, by the way, is go to all of our different social media sites. But one good way is to look at America's Voice News. Search them out. They're an alternative to the mainstream media. They're on Roku, Fire Stick, Apple TV. You can download free apps on your Android or your iPhone. They're on Pluto channel and channel 219 on the Dish Network. We don't have a live show on there right now. You could petition them to get us back live or get us on live, but we are archived on their streaming service on a daily basis in 12-minute, actually 16-minute segments, 3 of them. Look up there, click on their streaming service. It's free, and look under show tabs. You'll see us. But what I was telling you about Biden's speech the other night, and if you combine it with his budget that he just released last Friday, we talked about that on Monday, I believe, or actually, I guess Tuesday. These days sometimes jump around. You will see that the budget and the speech that Biden gave is a blueprint for the complete takeover of the progressives of this great United States of America. From cradle to grave and beyond, they want to take this country over. And if that happens, then, we're done. We're done. It's over. So it won't really matter whether the truth comes out or not, right? But as I say, back to this video. Think about what is happening. Can we play it one more time? We're going to play it one more time because I want to make a great point about it. This is Antifa. Take them at their word. Listen to them. It's my fault for doing that. I put my producers and Billy Bob under pressure. We might not. Can we? If it's too much trouble, I can wait. I got a Cracker Jack staff. No wall, no USA at all. No borders, ladies and gentlemen. So isn't that what we have right now? We have no borders. We have no borders right now. No borders. They're literally tearing down the wall. They're not going to build anymore. So we got no borders, no wall, and we're on the path to no USA at all. For God's sakes, if you don't get anything outside this show, listen to that, because that is the message of the modern Democratic Party, which is totally owned by the progressives. Now, I'm not talking about every Democrat. I'm talking about the people elected to positions of power. They are running the show. Tell me where I'm wrong. Tell me. I'd love to hear it. But listen to what, and I love how and I'm going to make a point about this in a minute, but this is the article. Back to the article. They're talking about Andy Ngo making a statement. They say he claimed, and that's very important. Listen to this. Antifa wants me dead because I document what they want to stay hidden. They want me dead for capturing these things and reporting on them. But it is the right of every journalist, protected and preserved by the founding fathers, to report freely without fear. Amen. Spot on, Mr. No. You are absolutely in the know. Pardon the pun, but you are absolutely right. But I like how they say he claimed. It's not a claim. It's a birthright, for God's sakes. You have a birthright as an American citizen, what Andy Ngo just stated. Listen to this again. He said, Antifa wants me dead. He said, they want me dead for capturing these things and reporting on them, but it is the right of every journalist, protected and preserved by the founding fathers, to report freely without fear. It is your God-given right, inalienable right, protected by the U.S. Constitution, to be a free, rugged individualist, to walk in America without fear. Now, I understand, I'm not naive. There've always been places you shouldn't go, so to speak. There's always been neighborhoods where, you might not want to be there after dark. There always has been in every place in human history. So I get that. I'm not naive. But for God's sakes, if you can't drive your vehicle between jobs in an American city in a suburban-like neighborhood like that Marine was, and not be beat to death on a street for simply trying to go to work, then it's over. It's already over. Do you understand that? I'm not a pessimistic person. I'm an optimist. I believe in the greatness of America. I believe in this great experiment. That's why I'm battling ignorance and apathy daily. But do you understand that if a reporter, you don't have to agree with him, but if a reporter like Mr. No can't video and talk about and do his job on a major American city, then it's over. And if we're just going to stand by as a people, as a society, and as a government and let this happen, then we're going to be a country that's not worth serving. See, I got an issue with, and when I say this, please understand me. I absolutely have the utmost respect to men and women in uniform, whether they're police officers or certainly men and women defending the nation. But we have an all-volunteer military. Have you ever thought about this? And this is not a knock on them at all. They're the best and the brightest. God love them. But if we become a country that is not worth volunteering to serve, then what? Then what? And if we become a country, talk about the thin blue line, that is not worth it, because police officers don't do it for the money, for God's sakes. Even the highest paid police officers are paid peanuts. Would you do it? If you don't come from a legacy of it, would you do it? Heck no, you wouldn't do it. You're not going to do it. So if we become a country that is not worth serving, and we become a cities and states and a nation that is not worth protecting, where does that leave us? Pretty much screwed. Pretty much screwed. It's our birthright. People have paid the price that we should be able. I get real emotional about this because you know why? Because I love this country, and on a personal level, I love my life. I love my family. I love everything about what I'm doing. I love being here talking to you. I love the fact that I'm going fishing this weekend. You know, I love all of that. And I realize that without people serving in the military and police officers on the street, I might not have any of it. And I don't want to have to I will defend my home, but I don't want to have to do it. I don't want to have a demilitarized zone around my house. I don't want to have Gatling guns on the roof. By the way, if you want a Gatling gun, check out Big Daddy Unlimited. They got Gatling guns too at factory direct pricing. But I don't want to have to do that. I don't want to have to go on patrol around my neighborhood. I want to take that for granted, right? I'm just admitting to you, I want to take that for granted. And we have taken it for granted, including me, and that's why we're in the fix we're in. We have taken our country for granted. We have taken our freedoms for granted. I didn't really necessarily mean to get on this rant, but as you can tell, I'm emotional about it. We have been in a long slumber, really since World War II, and maybe even before, but certainly since World War II. We have got to take our personal responsibility for this great nation. Each one of us, at the best of our means and abilities, we got to do it or we're done. And we're on the verge. We're closer to the edge than you think we are. But it is our birthright, and it just pisses me off. It scares me at a certain level because I love my life. I don't want to give up my life, my lifestyle, period. I don't want to. And I take it for granted. And I should be able to, but we can't anymore. We can't. All right, listen to what Mr. No, I didn't mean to get too far off. Billy Bob tells me to get back straight. You take a sip. I'll collect my thoughts. By the way, Billy Bob here is my psychic sidekick. I put him through a lot of pressure, like playing a video twice without telling him. But he's got a Twitter account. It's at Billy Bob Bass 1, and mine is at John Martin Talks. We are determined to stay in the public square, so to speak, of social media, no matter what. So hang in there with us, support our sponsors, share us far and wide, and follow us. But this is what Andy said, Mr. No. He said, as I sprinted through downtown Portland, we're not talking about downtown Baghdad. We're talking about downtown Portland. Trying to flag down help, there was no visible police presence at Southwest 4th Avenue and Southwest Morrison, there's the streets in Portland I'm not familiar with, you may be. One of the black-clad Antifa members tackled me to the ground in front of Pioneer Place Mall, punching my head and face repeatedly while I pleaded for them not to kill me. I mean, you're pleading for your life in an American city, for God's sake. No police presence for Mr. No. Well, I guess in a humorous note, that gives a whole new meaning to no-go, because his name is spelled NGO, to no-go zones. There are no-go zones, I guess. Do we just have to accept that? You know what I really feel for? And when you see, like, for instance, getting back to what I said earlier, how there are neighborhoods you don't want to go to after dark. You know, it's a separate story, but that in and of itself is a dadgum shame. Because I don't care what neighborhood you're in, even the roughest, worst parts of public housing or something like that are just neighborhoods. You have really good, decent Americans living in those places. Some of them in poverty and everything else. I feel for those people. I don't feel for the thugs, because you make a choice to be that in this country. You know, poverty sucks. It always has sucked. But I can tell you this, contrary to what Joe Biden and his crew would have you believe, that in America right now, and I'm not saying that I might not have it easier than somebody else. You know, I'm not saying that you might not have more challenges based on where you're born or what color your skin is. I'm not saying that. I'm agreeing with you. There are still real charge. But if you take an honest assessment of your life, and I've had to do this myself in the past. I haven't shared about this much lately, but if you've been watching our show in any time, you know that I'm a recovering alcoholic and drug addict. I've been clean and sober for 32 now, almost 33 years. I guess 33 years now. Time goes on. God's grace, man. God's grace is amazing. But I had to look at my own life and realize, and I'm not preaching, I'm not a law enforcement officer, I'm just telling you the truth. I had to take a look at my life and realize that about 99.9% of my problems, and it's still true today, are self-inflicted wounds. That I wasn't there because of anything but some pretty poor choices in my life. And I firmly believe, I'm not saying people don't have challenges that may be much greater than mine. But in America, I believe if you take an honest assessment of your life and you take personal responsibility for your direction in life, you can achieve anything. Show me someone who hasn't achieved the highest levels possible in America, regardless of race, creed, and color, national origins. For everyone you show me that hadn't done it, I'll show you 10 that have, man. But Mr. No concluded in his remarks after he got beat up, by appealing to Portland police, journalists, and to all those who believe in the First Amendment to stand up to Antifa. Are we? That's the question. Are we? Are we going to do that? Are we going to listen to great leaders like Martin Luther King that talked about the dangers of silence? The danger of silence. Because evil only triumphs in the absence of good people acting. Are we only going to stand? Are we going to stand by and watch our cities, our states, and our nation just fall into the abyss? Because that is where we're at. I don't like to be negative, but I'm telling you, ladies and gentlemen, if we don't stand up, and this is way bigger than Donald Trump. It is way bigger than Donald Trump. If you've watched our show Length to Time, you know that I got a man crush on Donald Trump. But our movement, the MAGA movement, the America First movement, by its very nature, has to be bigger than any one man, or it was doomed to failure from the start. Period. If it's not up to us, individual Americans, to continue to fight, not when it's going our way. It's easy to go to a rally and go, woohoo, I've done it. But it's a lot harder to speak up and say, that ain't right. And I'm not putting up with it. And I'm telling you, what happened to Mr. No now twice, it just isn't right. And it's hard for me to go out to Portland and change it. I applaud him for being willing to do it. And I don't mind you moving to the great state of Florida, man. American by birth, Floridian by the grace of God, man. So I understand that. You got to look out for your own personal family first. But we've got to speak up against injustice everywhere we see it. And here's the thing. I haven't said this in a while, but if I say it, it bears repeating. Not everybody can be a leader in the fight. Not everybody. We got to have followers and supporters. Even the greatest soldiers, and I'm not comparing myself to a soldier, but even the greatest soldiers can only do so much without the support of the back lines, without the support of the supply chain and all that. So if you don't feel up to it, or if you're not up to it for emotionally, mentally, spiritually, or physically, find people like Mr. No, I dare say it, like myself, and support them. Support them. because not everybody can be a fighter, but everybody can support those of us in the fight. And that's where I need you. All right, I get a little bit shook up there. I got a few minutes left, enough time to get into this next story. All right, let me catch my breath. I don't apologize for being passionate. I don't. I'm a very passionate person. I'm a very grateful person. But it doesn't sound very humble. But I'm so grateful that I have the ability to be here. Period. I'm doing something I love, and only in America can you really make that happen. And I thank everybody who have helped me along the way, because God knows I've had a lot of help, not only in doing this, but in my life. I'm not a self-made man by any stretch of the word. I am a person who has been helped and supported by people who loved and believed in me, even when I didn't love and believe in myself. And I live through God's grace, which is a whole lot better than being fair. Treated fair, because everybody wants to, I want to be treated fair. I want to be treated fair. Well, one definition of fairness is you get exactly what you deserve. That is pretty fair, right? I'm telling you right now, I do not want to be judged on that. I'd rather have God's grace than fairness every single day. But let's move on. All right, this is from the Washington Examiner as well. I guess it's Washington Examiner Day. City Council declares, and this is good news, City Council declares San Clemente Second Amendment Freedom City. And I love that term, and we'll explain that in just a moment. The resolution was passed by a 3-2 vote. San Clemente, by the way, if you don't know, is out in the People's Republic of California. There's a lot of great people still out in California, man. I hear from you guys all the time. And hang in there, man. My heart goes out to you, because California is a great state. It used to be like the jewel of the world, let alone the nation. Now, the Democrats have progressives returned from a jewel to a stool. That's why you got to have poop maps in San Francisco. But I applaud the great patriots that are hanging in California and in San Clemente. Check this out. The resolution was passed by a 3-2 vote on Tuesday after more than 2 hours of discussion with members of the community, according to the Orange County Register. San Clemente. So it was passed by a 3-2 vote. There's 2 pieces of good news out there to the residents of San Clemente. One, apparently you got pretty good leadership, 3-2. So you got 3 people, you know who to support, and you got 2 that you need to get out. So you got some good news. Make your list, check it twice. I tell people all the time, Republicans, progressives, rhinos, never Trumpers, MAGA people, I don't care. Vote your conscience. If you really believe in something, vote your conscience based on the facts. Not only is that the right thing to do, but if we don't agree with you, at least we have a choice. What I can't stand is people who try to pick and choose political stuff. I used to be mayor and city commissioner in my little town of Hawthorne, Florida. And I hadn't talked about this in a while. But I told a reporter some years back, I don't ever remember casting a vote based on whether I thought it was liberal, progressive, conservative, whatever. I just took the facts in, listened to what they tried to shape it the best I could, and came to a conclusion and voted what I thought was right. There's times when I've made a mistake and admitted it. That's what we need. So by all means, I want people to vote their conscience so that we have a clear understanding of where you are. I have the courage to do that. Councilman Gene James authored the resolution. Thank you, sir. And this is another thing. People ask me all the time what you can do. Well, you can support those in the fight, like I just said. So when you see someone like this Gene James, if you're out there in San Clemente, show up to a meeting and tell him he did a good job. Because I can tell you, in a small town or any town, whenever I went up and there was more than about a half a dozen cars in the parking lot, my first thought is, oh God, what have we done wrong this time? Because people will line up to stick a pitchfork in your behind or to burn you up with torches, but they rarely line up to say, I just came up today, Mr. Martin, to tell you, I really appreciated that vote you took last week. I don't know that I've ever had anyone do that, but they will line up to put a pitchfork in you for sure. So support people. Email this guy, write him a letter. If he runs for higher office, maybe shoot him a donation. Support these kind of people. Councilman Steve Knobloch, we have some Knoblochs here, I wonder if he's kin to him, who supported the idea, proposed changing the wording to Freedom City rather than Sanctuary City. Spot on, man. Freedom, that's what it's about. The free state of Florida, like I keep telling you, ladies and gentlemen, Oh, my Lord. Thank God that I am a citizen of the great state of Florida, born in the United States of America, a Floridian by the grace of God, man. I tell you, I live. But the resolution, listen to this resolution. The city of San Clemente is hereby declared a Second Amendment freedom city and opposes any effort to eliminate or diminish the Second Amendment. Well, I welcome you, ladies and gentlemen of San Clemente, into the fold of Second Amendment people, because we've been teased about this. I boast about it proudly. Yes, we are the gunshine state here in the city of in the state of Florida. We don't have to call 911 all the time, but we can take care of business ourselves. So, you know, I applaud you for coming in, because I believe in your God-given right to defend your home. I would tell you this, and I've said this many times, but like I say, it certainly bears repeating. I believe that the crux of the Second Amendment, which is your right to defend your life, liberty, and your possessions and your family and all that, is beyond just an inalienable right, if there is such a way. I actually believe it is a basic human right to defend that. And I realize that there are many places on this great earth that you cannot do that, which is one of the reasons why people are dying to get here, right? We have it made so much here, and we take it for granted quite often. And we should be able to, but we can't. We can't. The resolution is non-binding. I got an opinion on that. The resolution is non-binding, meaning it will not change local laws, and it is rather symbolic gesture. Hang on. I'm really pumped up today, as you can see, I hope. The resolution is rather a symbolic gesture that will be sent to the governor and the California legislature. It may be symbolic, but I think it's vital nonetheless. Symbolism is critical. You know, you want to talk about something that has great symbolism, but is non-binding, has no legal. And a lot of people don't know this. The Constitution is a legal document. The Declaration of Independence is not. It has no legal binding whatsoever. King George obviously ignored it, right? He attacked us. The Declaration of Independence, I don't know that we would have a United States of America if we did not have the Declaration of Independence. So what they're doing out in San Clemente, don't poo-poo it. Don't think just because it's non-binding. It's a statement. It's rising up. It's American patriots saying, I'm mad as hell and I'm not taking it anymore. Just like those people that took over because they walked away from their positions in Arizona at the school board that took the meeting over. We have got, I'm not saying be violent. I'm saying be active, be educated, motivated, and activated. Do something. If you see it's unjust, say it's unjust. Educate people. Like I say, educate yourself and motivate yourself. Activate people. Educate, motivate, and activate. Those are the three things we got to do. And in some cases, eliminate, like vote them other two in San Clemente out of office. Let me check my time. Doing okay, got a few minutes left. Nearly 40 people spoke before the council voted, with 19 opposing the resolution and 18 supporting it. Well, let me tell you, to you crooks out there, there's good news in this. You know, I say vote your conscience or speak your conscience. Well, now you know who not to rob. If they spoke in favor of this, you probably ought to pass them by. And I'm not advocating violence against anyone, but if you spoke in favor of this, you just might have a welcoming package for anybody who comes. And let me tell you, out in California, we've seen already that people have to defend themselves. This is a video from about a year ago. This is the husband of the LA state attorney who was being accosted at his home. They were looking for his wife. Imagine people, 100 people or more, coming to your front door saying that we want your wife, calling out your wife. What would you do? Well, look at what this gentleman, a retired police officer, how he responded. Check it out.
Right now, get off.
Good morning.
Get off
Are
of
you
my
gonna
porch.
shoot me?
I will shoot you. Get off of my porch.
Can you tell Jackie Lacey that we're here?
I don't care who you are. Get off of my porch
will get off your
right
porch.
now.
Can you tell
We're
her?
calling the police right
Good.
now.
Good.
I love, and you can hear him beating drums. It's like 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. I love how she says, you gonna shoot me? He says, I will shoot you. They didn't come any further. They didn't come any further after that. You know, if you stand up to these bullies, they tend to back down. You know, every one of those people that beat up Andy Ngo, I guarantee you individually, for the most part, they'd have run like scared little chickens, man. You pound on the door of the barn before you walk in, and the rats clear out. I know that from personal experience. But this is some of the people. Let me check my time. Doing all right. I got a couple minutes left. I want to read these parts right here. This is what some of the people commented, kind of the pros and cons of it. This will not help my business. This is someone who's opposed to it. Many have told me they will not come to San Clemente. Who's not going to come? Crooks, right? Probably. Said one person said, I'm saddened this is up for discussion. It's an embarrassment. So to have your Second Amendment rights and say we're going to support the U.S. Constitution is an embarrassment. That is something you really need to hear. She said, or this person said, let San Clemente be known for the city it is, our seaside charm, and small town values. Small town values. I don't know, man. I can tell you, in the small town that I grew up in, we don't always agree politically, but I guarantee you 99% of the people, and my city's like 50-50 black and white. I can tell you this, don't come a knocking on our doors like they did that gentleman out there in L.A. unless you expect an issue. I'm telling you. I don't know about the small town values out in California, but where I am in the great state of Florida, small town values, one of the biggest ones is they believe in life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, not the guarantee, and the defense of that. Key to it. But here's another one. This is a person who was pro. Said, I've watched California change and it isn't for the better. Another person said, I wonder why these people are so afraid of guns. The criminal, the lawbreakers will not worry that we have strict gun laws and will use their guns freely. Freely. I love that. He sounds like Grady Judd, our sheriff down here in Polk County, that said our people have guns. They know how to use guns. And if you bash in their door, I recommend they blow you out the door that you kicked in. That is a great sheriff. That is one of the sheriffs in the state of Florida, man. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed the show as much as I've enjoyed bringing it to you. I hope you have a blessed and glorious weekend in the free United States of America while it lasts. And I believe it will last if we don't take it for granted. I'll pray for your family. You pray for mine. Let's all pray for this great nation. She deserves it. By God, she needs it now more than ever. But like I say each and every day, from my heart, from my family to yours, have a blessed day.